On exports, Indian defense exports stood at a very meager small number of 300 crores about a decade ago. Today we are in excess of 13,000 crores. As an organization, we have seen, I would say, very, very good response to whatever exports we have been doing as Larsen & Toubro. Now, what is the role of MSMEs in all this? MSMEs in the defense sector currently serve the DPSUs, ordnance factories in their new avatar now as corporates, and various large private OEMs. I would say they could be tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 kind of suppliers. Over and above this, there is also a good potential for exports. A forum like this and all the interactions that we have planned, basically, I think will help in a better understanding of what are the requirements of the armed forces, the need to fast track design and quality assurance approvals. From the time we were just discussing before this, the gestation period for anything from an idea or a concept to actually a supply order could be as high as maybe a decade. So what are the means and how do we go about trying to shorten this time? Conducive payment terms and timely release of payment for sustenance. Any small organization has to look at its own sustenance if we have to cater to defense. Education for MSMEs for basically meeting quality requirements as well as understanding of systems. Test facilities to enable test the various concepts and products that have been developed. And of course, I mentioned it earlier, some assurance of running orders and business. This is the kind of, I would say, need which the entire MSME organization will see today. Now, the role of Maratha Chamber, I would say this organization would be the voice of various industries in and around this area and serve as a platform for interaction with the armed forces, connecting up with end users, encouraging industry for excellence through various awards, as well as interactive sessions with experts and technology partners. So I think this is just the right and the apt beginning, and I wish this entire interactive session great success, and I'm confident that together the industry and the end users with Maratha Chamber facilitating will be able to see very good progress in the months and years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request Mr. Mahesh Phadke to felicitate the speakers. Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSN. Brigadier Chakravarti Kumar Sahukari, Brigadier ADB. Colonel Sanjay Mohanty from DGQA. Mr. Amit Mahajan from Phoenix Industries. And Mr. Kailash Kabra, he is representing Kirloskar Pneumatics. Thank you, sir. So before we move on to the next presentation, I would like to briefly introduce our speaker, Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal, VSM. He from the Directorate of Aerospace Design, Air Headquarters. So the officer is a professional with 3 decades of experience in telecom network management, training, skill certification, and quality management. He has a insightful experience in implementation and management of multi-layer communication networks. He also has a rich experience in operational planning, execution, operations and maintenance of various signal and big communication networks over the entire spectrum. And he has worked in DRDO and ADA on communication and LCA MK2 Make2 projects respectively. So with this very short introduction, I would like to welcome Air Commodore Rajiv Mittal to address the delegates. Over to you, sir.
Well, the first thing in the morning was told that we are running behind the schedule. So I'll give you the good news. I'll try to compensate for that, at least for the time allotted to me, at least by half of that. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen on the dais. It gives me immense pleasure to be amongst you, and it was my desire to meet the people because after I have assumed this responsibility at Air Headquarters of spearheading the aerospace design, in which we look for innovations in the field of defense, I wanted to have first-hand meeting experience with all the people, MSMEs, startups, academia, and the industries who are involved in the field of defense, and kind of an outreach. Generally, when you go to any one of these Auto Expo or Def Expo or anything, it is generally the industries who come and give you their pamphlets and brochures and whatnot. Today, when I entered, I have come with a bag, and I have come with my pamphlets and brochures to tell you all what we are looking for in at least Indian Air Force in particular and defense in general. So actually, we will be very happy if I can communicate with as many people as you are, and at least with few of them, we can fructify a useful business relationship which will be mutually beneficial for you as an individual and as an organization, and for us as a defense arm, and for the country as a whole. And when we talk of country or the world, if you go back to the history, if you go see the history of 5,000 years of human civilization, you will find anyone, if any time, if any country has ruled the world, one thing has always been common with that country. I'll try and tell you to prod your mind, but not much. That one thing has always been, that country has always been Atmanirbhar in its defense. You see, whichever the world power, at whichever time, he has been kind of self-dependent, kind of self-reliant in its armed production and its armament and its defense. And when our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji talks about the Atmanirbharta, the bigger message is that if India has to become a power to reckon with, a world power or a superpower, which we will be suddenly before we gain the 100th year of our independence, it will be, the march will be through the self-reliance in the field of defense. And with that, this exposition or this meeting of DefTech 2022 should certainly put a great flip to the efforts of you, of the armed forces, and of the country as a whole. Now, if we see, as Mr. Forge was telling, in the last decade or so, our defense import bill is actually shrinking. And if you see the orders to the industries for the domestic production in the armament is increasing. And the government, the way the positive indigenization lists are coming, and the way, in a way, virtual ban or actual ban is coming on the components by name, by listing them into positive indigenization list or the negative import list. This is one of the way of making it possible that the startups, MSMEs, and the industries in the field of defense, they gain space. And that's not the only thing. If we see our history of our independence, this whole domain was actually captured or by retained by only the DPSUs or the Ordnance Factory Boards. So in a way, the complete eco-space, the complete sphere was controlled by the government bodies. But in past few years, that boundary has been broken, and today if we see, there are so many industries, I will not like to name, but so many of them who have gone past these DPSUs. And actually, the Ordnance Factory Boards have also been broken into the DPSUs, and very soon you will see many of them will become I will not say that PSUs are not accounted for, but certainly each one of them will be accountable to us, because the money which has gone into that is yours and mine. So they will become accountable to the public. They will become accountable to the public. And when that accountability comes, naturally, the productivity increases, or they become more concerned for their activities. So when we talk about the complete ecosystem and see who all are involved. So at the apex level, the government. At the next level, who have been spearheading for the last 7 decades, the DPSUs or the ordnance factories, the MSMEs or startups or the industries in the private sector like you, the academia, and the users, person like me. Many of us are in the uniform. Today, I am not wearing the uniform, but the industries and the association of all these people is required in one single platform. So, what is required is an integration of all these entities into one single way. So, each one of us, whether you are on this side of the spectrum or the other side of the spectrum, feel equally responsible or equally committed or equally joyful of producing or buying things which are made in India or which have been made in India and made for the world. Because ultimately that's what is required. It is not only required to become self-reliant, but it is also required because the profitability will increase when the spectrum of the product which can be sold, the customer base is widened. And that can only happen when the world is the market for you, not only the armed forces of India. How can that happen? That can only happen with ensuring the quality and standards. Now, who is mapping the quality and standards? If we talk about India, the name which come in the field are DGAQA or CEMILAC or RCMA. Now, these organizations also, the lessons for them is they also have to become enablers. Certainly, they are not hindrance, but they cannot live in a silo anymore. They all have to become enablers, and as far as possible, industry have to be relied to become self-certified, or the standards have to come out in open so they can be adopted. And I feel proud and I tell in advance that I am compliant with all these certifications. Till the time I as a producer feel responsible to maintain the standards, to maintain the quality, until the time the other person feels the industry that they are also a responsible entity and they will maintain the standards. So they have to be, regulations could be there, but they have to be more of a supporting or enabling bodies than producing the hindrance. That can only happen when more and more things come in open domain, more and more transparency is there, more and more handshaking is there. And this thing again I see in last 2-3 years are happening, and you will see a lot of things are coming up when we talk about with the people in the DGQA, when we talk the people in the SEMILEC, the change of mindset is coming. And all these things are already getting visible for those who are into it, and for those who are on the fringe currently, you will see in 2 to 3 years time, lot of enabling provisions are coming up into the field of quality and certification. With that, I will try to come on the fields or the specifically areas where we are looking for the things. As I told, I had the Directorate of Aerospace Design, and we are generally not that much concerned with the indigenization alone. Actually, we are totally concerned with the innovations. With that, what I mean is that new technologies, path-breaking technologies. So when I talk about the communication, I'm looking for quantum communication. When we look for the aircrafts, I'm looking for generally unmanned aerial vehicles. When I look for a solution, I'm generally looking for artificial intelligence and or robotics. When I'm looking for the database management, I'm generally looking for the big data. When I'm looking for the electromagnetic energy, I'm generally looking for the lasers. When I look for the weapons, I'm generally looking for the directed energy weapons. So all the what I'm going to tell in the nutshell is I'm looking for path-breaking new niche technologies. And anything which you have, we are there to hold your hand. As it was told by in the opening speech, government has come out with very good scheme of innovation for defense excellence. I'll take a step forward. Most of you might be aware, but for those who are not, we have got it working in 2 different spheres. One, Defense India Startup Challenge, DISC, in which I tell what is the problem which I have, what is my problem case, what is my problem definition statement, and what I am looking from you. So that comes in open domain, quite a transparent portal of Defense Innovation Organization, and you and or anyone can apply. Again, the selection of things happens in a transparent manner, or open challenge, wherein you tell that this is the technology or tool or the product which I have developed and which is path breaking, which could be of use to you in the armed forces. You are most welcome to apply for any one of these or look for the DISC challenges from us. But that's not all. As was told, we have Technology Development Fund where you can get funding, total funding. In the case of IDEX, you have to match equal contribution of 1.5 CR or up to 10 CR in a way of your own equity. But in the case of TDF, you can get a grant of up to 50 CR. But the story doesn't end there. We are also looking for the products in the Make 1, Make 2 or Make 3 categories. As you are aware in that, it could be either totally funded by the government or totally funded by you, or it could be if it is a thing where we were importing till now from the abroad, we can come in the MiG 3. And in that case, the limits are not there of these 1.5 CR or 10 CR. So my short message is, we in armed forces are there for you. For me, I have a very small email ID, aero.design@gov.in, aero.design, DESIGN @gov.in. Just mail me, and anyone who has mailed has not got that. I have always replied to each and every mail. Just write your niche capabilities, your problems, your solutions, your suggestions, your introduction, your profile, and you never know, we may find something interesting and we'll be very happy to reach out to you. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have the contact details of all the participants here. So probably after this session, we'll circulate the contact details of your directorates as well. Thank you. So we move on to the next presentation. I would like to introduce Colonel Sanjay Mohanty from DGQA. So Colonel Sanjay Mohanty will be speaking about global QA practices in defense. Colonel Mohanty is an officer commissioned to the Corps of Signals, Indian Army. He holds a BE in electronics and MTech in computer science, and also a diploma in quality management from SQAEL, Secunderabad. During his stint in the service, he has held various regimental appointments. He was also deputed to the United Nations in UN mission in Sudan as the communications and IT chief. He has been an instructor at Military College Telecommunication Equipment at Maho, and also at Combat Wing at the Army Air Defense College, Gopalpur. And he has been awarded with the GOCNC's commendation card in the year 2011-13 and the DGQA commendation card in 2017 and 22. So with this brief introduction, I would like to request Colonel Mohanty to address the delegates.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Without wasting much time, I'll come to the topic per se. I shall dwell upon the global QA practices and the DGQA perspective towards Atmanirbharta and defense production. To start with, the role of DGQA, we are here to ensure that the entire range of armament, stores, equipment used by the armed forces are of specified quality and reliability, primarily to enhance the combat efficiency of the forces. I shall cover my presentation under the following heads. To start with, I'll just give you a brief about the defense ecosystem and the need for quality and the QA. You need to understand this. Thereafter, I'll come on to the DGQA perspective as to what is that we do primarily in the capital procurement. Certain time optimizations that Ms. Phadke was also speaking about as to what we need to do to shorten the time for time to the user. Certain procedures that we've standardized, as Air Commodore Mittal was also bringing out that we are into refinement of our processes. Thereafter, I shall compare our processes with the global practices, various countries as to what they are doing and how we are placed as far as these companies are concerned or these governments are concerned. I shall also cover upon a new thing that we've started, that is on the software QA capability and the approach that we intend going forward. We have already done some pilots on this, even for the IDEX projects, and the way ahead, both for the industry and the DGQA. Right. So, going by the Atmanirbharta and Make in India vision of our Honorable Prime Minister and the Honorable Raksha Mantri, it focuses on self-reliance primarily through make, design and development and strategic partnerships. It also focuses on sorting out and refining the process for the ease of doing business. Towards this, what the Honorable Prime Minister has been reiterating is that we need to give focus to Make in India, not just for Make in India for India, but for the world. And towards that, there are certain key areas that he's asked us to focus on. Need to manufacture sustainable and quality products on ZD, zero defect, zero effect model. He's talked about the need for the domestic manufacturers to maintain global standards and compete globally. If we need to go for exports, we have to follow standards. There is no shortcut to it. And lastly, for a national structure which is research-based, futuristic approach. I'll talk about it in terms of what the industry needs to do. And finally, quality is the key in this entire gambit. So ultimately, everything boils down to quality. If you're quality conscious, we are there. Otherwise, we'll be lagging behind. If we need to understand the defense ecosystem, let us first analyze the COTS ecosystem, or the commercially off-the-shelf equipment ecosystem, which is akin to a fruit industry or a fruit ecosystem. What happens there is you have a higher seller and a buyer space. Availability is very high. You have in terms of criticality, it is less critical, less cost, shorter life. However, there is a stringent mechanism for adoption of specs and the quality measure. You have various quality aspects brought out in this particular industry if you have to survive. On the contrary, if you look at the defense ecosystem, it can be compared to the saffron ecosystem, wherein it is characterized by a limited buyer and seller space, highly critical, quite costly, lower availability, extended life, implying that there is a requirement of a quality measure which has to be factored by the developer. And should he not factor it, it is going to have a direct bearing on the capability of the forces and their effectiveness. The pictures shown are self-explanatory, reiterating the requirement of a robust quality management structure with the manufacturers, duly dovetailed, synergized with the QA activities of the user QA agencies. As Commodore Mittal just brought out, it has to be a seamless integration between the QA agencies and the manufacturers. A point that about the missiles, ammunition, armament and critical high defense system, these are characterized by a shelf and service life, implying that there is a requirement of concurrent QA or verification, validation and proofing, primarily because any defect and failure here would lead to accident, loss of life, loss of confidence and morale amongst the troops, And in terms of the off scenario, it shall lead to the loss of technical advantage and thereafter thereby the outcome of the battle. All right, having seen the defense ecosystem, I now come on to the part about the perspective for the capital procurement, which is primarily in the domain of the field evaluation trials and the methodology adopted, the refined processes that we're talking about. Before I go on to the subject per se, let us first understand the problem areas. If you see the problem areas, the major part, as Mr. Phadke brought out, it is about time. It is about the time taken for realization of the prototype. And if you do a gap analysis, it takes a lot of time, primarily because there are gaps in the elicitation of the requirement by the developer. So there's a user, he brings out a requirement. The requirement is captured by the developer or the manufacturer. And should there be a gap in this, it leads to a wrong design and thereafter failures during the trials, which takes time. The other part is the changing requirement of the user. While he is developing, user comes up with certain requirements because, as I said, if the gestation period is long, there is bound to be changes. Non-formulation of quantifiable parameters, gaps in the testing, verification and the validation, gaps in the documentation activities and the configuration management activities by the developer, and finally the process for the evaluation and the time taken for it. Having seen the gap, what we can do to obviate all this is what I'm going to talk about. If you do a time appreciation of this entire process, as I said, prototype to the bulk takes about 8 to 10 years. And the major problem, as we saw, was at the prototype development. So 3 to 4 years for the prototype development and the trials about 1 to 2 years. If you undertake, there are standards that are available, which is known as the verification and validation standard IEEE 1012, which brings out the stages of development. And should the prototype development concurrently be verified and validated by an independent agency? I've written here as DGQ, it can be any independent agency. Should they do it? Should the requirement and the design get validated here? There is no reason why the construction would be a problem. You would always have the capability to construct. What goes wrong in the design, goes wrong in the requirement capturing part. So if you are able to address this particular part at the prototype development concurrently along with the developer, there is no reason that the equipment would fail. And if a QA agency gets involved at the prototype, then obviously 50% of the time can be optimized. I'll tell you how. What we're looking at is, as I said, before you start constructing, we need to undertake requirement and design validation along with the user and the developer. Sit down, sort it out. There is a checklist that we've made. We've applied for a copyright. We'll be sharing it with the environment the moment we get the copyright. And once we do that, thereafter give the flexibility and independence to the manufacturer to construct thereafter. So the developer constructs, he makes the documents for the testing and the acceptance. They undertake testing for the critical to quality parameters as well. Should there be a requirement, the QA or the user agencies goes and undertakes concurrent testing along with them in terms of witnessing. And the manufacturer or the developer thereafter integrates the system and offers the system to the QA agency for the final system level V&V by the QA agencies and the user. So this, as I said, would lead to nearly cutting down the time by about 50%. Now, this is something that I'm not just talking off the hat. We've already done a pilot. We are in the process of doing this for a major equipment, one of the design cases, design and development cases of the DRDO. And what we've done, we found that, 50% is the minimum that I'm talking about. It is doable. Right, in terms of our perspective for the FET, DGQA undertakes, or the QA and agencies undertake the technical evaluation primarily to validate the quality and reliability of the system. Towards that, the reliability documents in terms of prediction charts for the shelf life and the useful life is to be given out by the developer and the manufacturer. It can be audited, duly corroborated with the simulations in case they are there, and the testing is to be undertaken by the QA agencies only if it is not undertaken by the firm. If it is undertaken by the firm, we audit it here again. We straight come to the VNB at the system level, as I've been talking about, and we would also get into audit of the quality management structure. As I said, that it's one of the most important part as far as the developer goes. And truncated evaluations are applicable in case of repeat orders or enhancement of existing equipment. So it will be a truncated evaluation. Concurrent evaluation is something that we get into primarily for high value, high critical equipment, wherein a separate prototype for testing by DGQA is not possible, so you get into concurrent evaluation. So this is what we intend when we talk about the field evaluation by DGQA. In terms of methodology, this is what it has. We get into the quality audit of the reliability reports, certificates, QMS and QA reports, undertaking the process audits, verification, validation of critical to quality parameters. At the integrated stage, we undertake requirement and design evaluation audit in case not undertaken before. Otherwise, if it has been done before, we just end up doing the physical functional test and clear the equipment. And thereafter, miscellaneous tests would include roadability, rain, certain HSP documentations, and the software VNB. Aim is to make a build to print document, which is a frozen document for the drawings, for the BOM, for supply details, for process flows, for workstation, for work instructions, assurance plans, ATPs, acceptance criteria, and reference documents. The moment you freeze this particular BTP, thereafter we do not anticipate any problem coming up again in the bulk, and we can again resort to a FAI by audit of majority of the production activities thereafter. Our perspective for the FAI, as we've been talking about with the corporatization, this is the buzzword now that industry is wanting us to do FAI. But FAI, we would get into endurance, burn-in, audit of production test reports, functional testing, and system level checks of the software. But there's a precondition. Only if the equipment has been successfully evaluated during the FET and the BTP has been frozen and there is no change vis-a-vis the BTP once the equipment is offered to us. Now, FAI can only be undertaken in that context. If you don't have a frozen BTP, then the efficacy of FAI is not there. You'll get into faults coming up and it will percolate down to the field. You'll have failures in the field, and the return on investment that you're looking at is not there. Your exports, in case it's an export order, it will go awry. So there are huge amount of ramifications which are there. Coming to our approach towards the fast track procurement, it will be on a pre-dispatch inspection model, something like an FAI. However, we shall audit the qualification test reports and the production test reports of the firm. The precondition being that the equipment has been evaluated successfully by the MPART committee before placement of the contract. Towards our approach for Buy Global, this is something that the industry talks about, that we have a separate mechanism for global equipment and indigenous equipment. One has to realize that when we go for a global equipment, it is for a proven system. It is already in use in one of the armies there, and that's why the change in the methodology. There is no change in the approach per se. If you see, we again get down to quality audit. It is an evidence-based audit of test reports. The requirement capturing and the design evaluation documents are audited. The testing, the sub-assembly level testing reports are audited. We only undertake functional acceptance testing. Verification, validation of shelf life, service life in terms of whatever documents they give. And the PDA is purely on a verification validation model, wherein the details including the drawing specs, acceptance criteria is to be given out by the firm. Right, having seen what we've done and how we've refined our processes, let us now see as to what governments world over are doing. If you see the defense industry in countries abroad, you have the defense production with the private industry, no doubt on that. However, there is some control, some regulations of the government there. The design, development, production, QC and QA testing is under one umbrella with the industry. IPR is with the industry. It's an extremely competitive environment. Therefore, their primary focus is on quality. They have an effective mechanism for traceability and accounting. They've got in technology, they've got in blockchain to sort out the aspect of traceability. So traceability is the prime factor. If we have to get into audit, if we have to get into the FAI mode, traceability is the thing. And if you see, their global QA is linked with user, defense procurement or the acquisition agency. As of now, if we see our country, we are under the defense production. World over, the QA agencies are not under the defense production, they are under the acquisition directorate or the procurement agency or with the user. This is the change that is there vis-a-vis our country. If you talk about the global QA, their QA agencies, the government QA agencies, they are mostly under the acquisition wing, as I've said, or the services. They are independent of the production. They have detachments in each production center because you need to, if you need to do audit, if you need to do concurrent checks, you've got to be there with them. Test centers are all federal control, they're government controlled. Responsibility for the QA is of the respective defense forces, and they also undertake QA for exports. Implying that if you now compare, it implies that the Indian structure is more evolved. We've evolved over the last 30-40 years with the trust on the industry. The processes that I brought out is with the precondition that there is a trust. Should there be a trust deficit, then there is a problem. These are various models. I'll just flash a couple of important ones. You have in the US, you have the Defense Contract Management Agency, which has, which they, if you go through the role and charter, they are the independent eyes and ears of the DoD. They ensure timely delivery. They undertake performance requirement checks, which is the QA or the VNV, and provide relevant acquisition insight supporting affordability and readiness. So the mandate is a little larger. If you see the Korean model, they're there right from the womb to tomb. If you see their activities along with the production or the development, they're there through and through the QMS audit process review, whatever is the production process, they're there in the entire stuff. Primarily a risk-based detection prevention approach, as you see. They come under the Ministry of National Defense. You see the German model, again they're under the procurement directorate with the test centers federal controlled and offices or detachments in the production centers. I now come on to the important part that I was talking about in terms of the QA capability. Please understand that today the weapon systems that we talk about are software centric. You have majority of the software taking a major role in the weapon systems. So I'll just cover a few points in this. This you would be aware now the development of a software centric system or a software system primarily has to follow a software defined life cycle. It has been brought out beautifully in a standard document which is ISO IEC 12207, So we would expect the manufacturers to follow this standard, or to have their own standards which is based on this standard. The second important thing which the developers and also the users fail to address is the quality model. Now, when you talk about the quality model is the one which makes the software tangible from being intangible. It makes the software visible. So, what you see in the ISO IC 25010 are 31 8 characteristics and about 31 sub characteristics, which bring out exactly what is required to be done with each characteristics. And therefore, you can thereafter convert each of these into a testable parameter. Approach is simple, that once the RFP comes to us for vetting, we look into the RFP for inclusion of the attributes, primarily with respect to the software quality model. We also give the template, the software QA template, include it in the RFP. Once the firm is selected, thereafter we undertake, as I said, the requirement elicitation and the design evaluation along with the firm, freeze it, give it independence to the firm to construct thereafter, test it thereafter, and offer the system to us at the system level for our final VNV at the system level. This is what it would involve. It will involve, these are the stages of development. If you see, concept, requirement analysis, evaluation, design evaluation, construction, integration. So we only come up at the requirement analysis, evaluation, review, and then finally at the system level. This is the organization that we have. Over last 1 year or so, we've developed these centers at Secunderabad, Bangalore, New Delhi, Chennai, and Mumbai. Our software groups are up. So should there be a requirement of any firm taking help from us for VNV, they can do so. It is going to be free of cost, because in case you have an order for that, otherwise you pay through your nose for a VNV by a private firm. In terms of capability, we at CQA EW at Secunderabad already have the engineering lifecycle suite with us. So we have a tool for the requirement management and the test management. We can undertake the traceability from the requirement right down to the test cases to see whether they are complete, adequate, competent. And we also have a performance tester for the scalability test, which can be used by the startups and industry should there be a requirement. In terms of futuristic test setups, we are also piloting a project on security testing. It is going to be a pilot in the country. It is not there even with the industry, neither the academia nor the industry. We are partnering with the DRDO for this. We shall come up with the pilot lab at SQL Secunderabad, which shall have a suite of 6 labs. Integrated product test lab, hardware test lab, software security test lab, formal verification lab, crypto, and side channel analysis. This is something new. Another 18 months or so will be up and about. Primarily, we'll get into checking of the absence of unstated functionalities, adaptability of the functionality, because generation of unwanted signals may create a problem. We'll check absence of unstated channels, and finally input checking and output containment. Coming on to the way ahead, as I was telling, what we intend and what we want the industry to do. Before that, a quote by Mr. Sri Piyush Goyal, the Honorable Food and Consumer Affairs Minister, just about a week back. What he said that the time is right to engage with the private industry to build a roadmap to make India a quality conscious country by strengthening the infrastructure, adopting modern technologies, and focusing on sustainability. As Commodore Mittal just brought out, strengthening infrastructure, we already have infrastructure. How to make it available, that also has been channelized, finalized by the MOD. It is available to you all. Modern technology is what he was talking about, niche technologies. If you've got to compete globally, you have to come up with newer products, better products, which is not existent in the world. Only then you can export, and sustainability thereafter. Now, what is that the industry can do? If you look at the core strengths of successful defense industries, first and foremost is the design and development capability for customer needs. It shall include innovation, the research and development for innovation and realization of technology-driven weapon systems. It will include amenability to concurrent engineering, processes, manufacturing, expertise in the manufacturing process and adoption of standards, availability of skilled manpower, adaptability to collaborations and strategic partnerships, sound financial position and infrastructure with the firms, and lastly, a robust product support center. Having factored the core strengths, the best practices adopted by the firms can be broadly classified as shown. To start with, we have the research and development, which shall include the product and process improvement functions also. It shall also include the testing infrastructure for the same. Second is the layered and tiered quality management structure with the firms, formulation of quality policies, quality objectives, duly factoring the risk and its mitigation, digitization of the production assembly by adoption of Industry 4.0, I shall talk about it, and having a robust failure analysis mechanism and a life cycle support system. Talking about design capabilities, statistically it has been seen that 80 to 90% of the sales revenue of a firm results from indigenous R&D. And towards that, there are various models towards design capabilities. One of the models which are being adopted by various firms across the world is a three-tier structure where they have the central research laboratories looking into core technology development. In the second tier, we have the core design groups which are looking into running projects, and undertaking design with respect to running projects. And you have the design engineering groups along with the production wings and centers to look into the product support. Quality management plays a very important role in the total quality of a system, and certification builds confidence to the users. Towards this, one of the incremental models you can see is as shown, wherein at the bottom you have the QCC, QIT suggestion schemes. You have on top of it the QMS and the EMS. You have the aerospace standards, which is nothing but the QMS plus the international aerospace quality standards requirement. You have the maturity level for the software industry, and Six Sigma CREs for process improvement. And finally, you have the prestigious award, instituted by for business excellence, instituted by the CIA and the Exim Bank. Talking about Industry 4 briefly, the Industry 4 in terms of evolution started in the 18th century primarily with mechanization of labor and graduated to automation of the production in the current days. However, gaps still exist in terms of communication between the QC QA data which is not exchanged real time. Therefore, there is a requirement of an integrated framework allowing access to real time production of QC testing data. If you see the existing system, if we understand the existing system, there is no mechanism for digital threading of the production process, primarily with the legacy systems. Since there is no threading, there is no provision for real-time analysis. There is no provision for real-time predictions of failures. There is no correlation of the production data with the field exploitation data. And lastly, the QA by DGQA and other agencies are offline, time-consuming, and they are not fail-proof. We in DGQA piloted a model for Industry 4.0, which was showcased during DEF Expo 2020, wherein we partnered with BDL and CDAC, give a model of a legacy system as to what could be done in Industry 4. Towards that, in terms of way ahead, if we have to guide you all, we can safely assume that you cannot convert the entire assembly into Industry 4. You need to identify critical assemblies which have to undergo Industry 4. Once you've done that, you need to select appropriate technology for application of Industry 4. And once that is done, then you need to create an enterprise suite wherein you could undertake real-time decision making with the man in the loop, reduce redundancies in inspection and testing, and correlate the production and testing data. What we did in our project was we had IoT, blockchain, big data, and AI used for automation of the Concours M ATGM launcher production assembly, and this is what we did. Now, one of the other best practices, as Commodore brought out, firms, if they are matured enough, they look forward to self-certification for recurring supplies, and in our case, we also have the green channel certification for proven systems characterized with stable production and reliable performance. Now, should the firm imbibe all that and produce evidence for whatever I have spoken of, we, in terms of our way ahead, would get into refinement and standardizing QA process. As I said, we are already on it. We've done quite a lot of it. We would thereafter do the handholding of the defense industry for Make in India for World, primarily aid SMEs and the MSMEs for development and testing, which can be taken as a grant in aid as far as the government goes. The various schemes that they've taken out for this, including the DTIS, enabling the industry for self-certification and green channel, primarily for maturing their design and production processes. And finally, should you do that, we'll get into certifications. As I've said, that we've been giving green channel certifications now, and also these self-certifications for stable equipment. In terms of opportunities, we have just listed out a few. First and foremost is the opportunity that you have for gauges. Now, with DGQA coming out of the ordnance factories, there is a opportunity for the industry for making these gauges, both the production gauges and the testing gauges. We have General Srivastav here. Should you all have any doubts, we have a cell here opened. You can all go there and see what all you could do and collaborate with DGQA and the DPSUs for these gauges. In terms of aid, I've already talked about it. We've got NABL labs available for you to test and get testing done at very nominal cost compared to what is done outside. Now, if your testing is cost effective, rest assured that the equipment that you're developing will be cost effective for exports. We have greenfield labs as an augmentation of existing facilities that are there. Proof test ranges for armament, ammunitions. Security test lab, I just talked about it. It is one of the kind in the country which will come up. And export promotion, defense export promotion scheme, as you call it, wherein we shall undertake evaluation of the equipment and deem and make it, give you a certificate for fit for exports. You also have, You also have the DTIS in the defense corridors, as I brought out. It's something like a special purpose vehicle wherein the industry needs to chip in, and the government comes in with 25% and industry comes in with the 75% stake for creation of those defense testing infrastructure, both in the north and the southern corridors. Right, gentlemen, I've finished. To conclude, as I've been bringing out, we as a nation are striving to expand defense manufacturing capabilities, not just for our own requirement, but also for the exports. It's time when the defense industry can adopt to these manufacturing practices to build high quality weapon systems, defense systems, and DGQA evaluation time and procedure can be simplified and minimized if manufacturer produces the necessary evidence as I've been talking about. And therefore, we need to be looked as facilitators for the Make in India rather than anything else. Thank you so much. I've finished.
Thank you, Colonel Mohanty. So we move on to the next talk. So I'll just introduce Brigadier Chakravarti Kumar Sahukari, who's the Brigadier ADB, Technical and Weapon Systems, Army Design Bureau at New Delhi. So Brigadier Chakravarti was commissioned into the Regiment of Artillery in 1989. He's an alumnus of the NDA Khadakwasla and DAIT at Girinagar. He has commanded an artillery battery in Siachen, an artillery regiment in semi-desert terrain, and an artillery brigade in the Strike Corps. He also has vast experience in operations, logistics, administration, and has been instrumental in this role during Operation Vijay and Operation Parakram. The Brigadier is also an instructor in Gunnery and holds a PhD from Osmania University. Since September 2021, Brigadier Sahukari is working in Army Design Bureau as the Brigadier ADB, Technology and Weapon Systems. So I'd like to request Brigadier Sahukari to please address the delegates.
Respected Mr. Mahesh Phadke, Chairman, MCCIA Defense Center, Head L&T Defense Talegaon, Honorable panel on the dais, and respected members who are attending this seminar today. It's a matter of great privilege for me that I got an opportunity to come here and give an address to this august gathering. Well, as has been introduced, I am from the Army Design Bureau. You all must have heard about ADB. Well, as has been brought out by Air Commodore Mittal, a similar work is being done by the Army Design Bureau in Indian Army. Driving of innovation, design and development, infusion of technology for the requirements of Indian Army is one of our primary tasks. For this, what we do is we reach out to the academic institutions to tap their excellence so that we can go ahead with certain research and development projects for the technological requirements of future of Indian Army. We reach out to research and development organizations, private as well as government, so that we can go ahead with R&D tasks of the future. We go ahead towards the industry, including MSMEs and startups, so that we tell them what is our requirement, what is expected from them, how can they work for us, and we, in case, find a promising solution, we handhold them in the development and go on to make a system, product, or a design that is indigenously designed and developed. So this is the broad charter which we in the Army Design Bureau are holding. So I will cover a few routes through which we are doing these works. Well, as has already been covered by Air Commodore Mittal for the Air Force, to avoid the repetition, I'll just cover certain specific aspects so that you come to know what are the type of projects Indian Army is looking at. Now, how do we interact with the industry? What we do is, we have a database of the defense manufacturers which has been created by us over a period of time. Even the dual-use manufacturers using dual-use technologies which can be used for the civilian use and can be of use to us also. We have created a database. Whenever we have any requirement, we approach through SIDM or FICCI or the Drone Federation of India. Such organizations, through them we go ahead in our outreach towards them. Apart from this, we keep holding various seminars, webinars, outreach interactions. We have a website of Indian Army on which the Army Design Bureau page is existing, indianarmy.nic.in. At the end of this, I'll flash a slide I've shared with Prashant, if we can. At the end, we will do that. I'll give you all the email IDs and the website addresses, how you can approach us. Now, this is what we do so that we can go ahead and connect with you. Now, how can you connect with us? In case you have a promising solution, you can send us a suo motu proposal saying that this is what I understand is your requirement. Now, how do you understand what our requirement is? We have a compendium of problem definition statements, which has been uploaded on the Indian Army website, on the Army Design Bureau web page, which keeps getting updated. Shortly, within a few months, we are going to release a new compendium also, which is going to be updated on that. From these problems, if at all you have a solution, you can push in that solution to us as a suo motu proposal, and once it comes to us either as an email or a telephone call or approaches, visit us, connect with us, we have subject matter experts, resource experts, user representatives. We integrate all of them and iterate with the solution, whether this solution is having any necessity with us or not. After that, we go ahead with the hand-holding of that to put it in different routes. Now, if this solution is a ready-made solution, we give you an opportunity to do a capability demonstration. For the capability demonstration, we provide facilities of the ranges, the place where we get the user representatives, and after the capability demonstration, if the user finds it of use and if there are any product improvements required, we suggest that. Now, other routes other than the capability demonstration are for design and development. Now, when we talk about the design and development, make is one of the important procedures. Now, in make 1, make 2, make 3 are 3 different procedures. I will cover make 2 is, since that is the procedure which is industry funded and it leads to assured procurement. Today, we are having a large number of make 2 projects. We have initiated about 43 make 2 projects for the industry, out of which 17 projects have been already initiated based on suo motu proposals. That is not, now how do we initiate a make 2 project? We take the requirement from the users, we put it on the website. that this is the problem we are having, we need a solution from the industry. The industry responds and we go ahead with that. Other than that, even for a make to, there is a suo motu proposal possible. There is on the website, there is a form which can be filled with a suo motu proposal. So what I'm mentioning is that 17 out of those projects are suo motu proposals which PSOs have been issued, project sanction order. Project sanction order issued implies it is an assured procurement after the design and development completed. Some of the projects which we are doing in Make 2, which are still open, we can say that vehicle mounted counter drone system. Now the challenges of army you have to understand. If I'm looking at a technology which has to be used by a soldier in the forward areas, it should be simple for the soldier to operate. If it has to be used on a vehicle, it should be robust enough to withstand the rigors of the terrain. If it has to be mounted on an A-vehicle platform, it should be capable of withstanding not only the terrain, but also the dust, the weather, and the space constraints within which it has to be put. So, considering such challenges, whenever any product is designed, those aspects have to be kept in mind. In order to ensure that the manufacturers are able to understand our requirements well, we even have been taking them to the forward areas. We have recently taken some industry representatives to the northern borders of Leh Ladakh and also towards the border areas and high altitude areas beyond Joshimath, and shortly we are even planning to take some of the industry representatives to the eastern sector. So, understanding the military requirement, the challenges is an important task while coming ahead with the solutions. Some of the other Make 2 projects we are doing are swarm drones, lightweight radars, runway independent UAVs, ballistic helmet with NIJ-3, autonomous combat vehicles which are payload agnostic, drone-based mine detection and diffusion systems. So when you see these, you realize that these are all niche technologies. And this is the place, I find this has got a huge industrial base here, large number of startups and MSMEs are available here with a good connect with the defense. Here at Pune, Army Design Bureau has a wing called as the Regional Technology Node. The Regional Technology Node is located with the Southern Command, and they are our connect with the industry of the area around. Whenever you have any query regarding any design and development and finding a solution to our problems, kindly connect us either directly or through the Regional Technology Node here. We are shortly going to open another RTN probably in Bangalore in a few days from now. As regards the IDEX is concerned, IDEX is primarily meant for the startups. Well, it can go ahead to MSMEs as well. Now, on the Ministry of Defense, Department of Defense Production website, the IDEX has come up as a very successful model. We are having quite a few IDEX projects. 26 IDEX projects are currently running with us, of which 14 are DISC projects, that is Defense India Startup Challenges, that is these are the challenges thrown by us, and 10 are open challenges. What it implies is that even if a startup or an MSME comes up with a solution to the solution which has not been asked by us, but if we analyze and we find that it is used to us based on our requirement or the requirement of future, we go ahead. Now, in these, as has been mentioned, about 50% of the fund is provided by the government. Initially, it was up to 1.5 crores. Now, IDEX Prime has also been launched, wherein it has gone up to 10 crores. We handhold the industry in going ahead with the design and development, and in definite timelines, that's important. In definite timelines, the delivery is required. In this, another important aspect is that once a project has been allotted for a particular solution, if they are coming up with different technologies, it's not necessary that only the L1 out of those who are preparing the solution will get an assured order. The L1, firstly the design and development is done, the prototype is made, after that some minimum quantity is procured to see that the field exploitation is carried out, and subsequently, as and when a procurement is done, if it is a single developer, it has to be done from him. If there are multiple developers, the L1 will be provided the order. However, if there are different technologies providing a similar solution, it could be more than one finding orders towards them. Certain projects we are doing under IDEX are identification of friend and foe, situational awareness of mechanized forces. That is, when you are trying to find your own A vehicles, when a group of A vehicles are moving, identifying which A vehicle is where is a challenge for the army. See-through armor. Some of the when the soldiers are sitting inside an A vehicle and it is closed from all sides, the future generation A vehicles may have certain systems, but the present ones we are using in the army, the soldiers sitting inside are unable to see outside in all directions. So finding a solution to that. Precision guidance kit for 81 mm mortars. So silent overwatch for infantry combat vehicles, AI-based RF spectrum management, tethered UAVs for mechanized columns. So these are the type of IDEX projects we are presently doing. So on the IDEX website, you will find the challenges being put, the problems being projected on the IDEX website. Once those challenges are seen, there is a definite time in which a startup or an MSME should respond and come up with their solutions. Even if the solution is not very clearly known to you at that time, you can interact with us. We are available to answer your queries. Other routes like TDF, as has been given out earlier, Technology Development Fund. TDF is a route which can be used through the DRDO. Indian Army projects through DRDO, through TDF route, the industry can participate. Again, it's mainly for the startups and MSMEs, up to 10 crores. It was there earlier, and now it's gone up to 50 crores. It's almost 90% of the funding is done. We are having certain Indian Army projects through the TDF route, logistics drones in high altitude area. Drones carrying weight in planes, and we've been able to find solutions, but for high altitude areas, it still remains a challenge. Amphibious bottom crawler, English to Mandarin translator. We have, Google provides the translation real time, but it is server based. We need a solution wherein you are not connected, because when our soldiers are going ahead, we cannot be connected to a server. Hence, we need a solution which can independently provide. Exoskeleton for easing the effort of the soldiers. Course correction fuse to increase the accuracy of the weapons. So, wherever a new technology is required, we are approaching the private industry to give us the solutions through different routes. As regards academic institutions, since not many academic institution representatives are here, I will briefly tell that certain IITs, IISCs, and noted academic institutions of technology are being approached by us, and we are developing certain niche technologies with them, like lightweight armor. Today, if a tank has got certain weight, how do you reduce it? Low light imaging, we are having a system of II or a TI. Why not go beyond these? Ramjet for range extension of artillery projectiles. Artillery projectiles today, once they are thrown, after that they are moving on their own propulsion ballistically. But why not provide a ramjet support to it? Precision guidance kit for artillery projectiles. Radar for detection and jamming of drones. Habitation in high altitude area is a big challenge. So such projects we are doing with academic institutions. These are generally fully funded, and up to 1 crore of fund is provided by us. So what I have generally tried to mention in this address today is that opportunities are there. Indian Army faces large number of challenges. Solutions are there with the best brains available sitting in front of us. We need the solutions. We are here to handhold you, to support you, to take you to finding a solution to us. I have a slide wherein I have given all the addresses, if that can be flashed. Yeah. Yeah, that's all. No need to change the lights. Yeah. So for Make 1, Make 2, this is the makeinindiadefense.gov.in. It's a common website for Army, Navy, Air Force, everyone. In this, the projects of Indian Army, Navy, Air Force are given separately. And for the IDEX, where the MSMEs and the startups should be on the lookout, is the second one, that is idex.gov.in, wherein IDEX challenges are thrown time to time. The Raksha Mantri had last time made a commitment that certain amount is going to be used by the startups for the production. So this is one of the routes through which the startups can go ahead. TDF, again, tdf.drdo.gov.in. For indigenization, we have one more website. So, and at the end, we have given the ADB website and the ADB email. This is the email through which I can connect with you all. The Army Design Bureau can connect with you all. Kindly push in an email to us. If you have any query, you will always find a reply coming to you. There may be certain delays because of we recently had a Def Expo in which we had a major involvement, and we keep conducting seminars. So please send in a mail. But remember one thing, that whatever you're finding, understand the requirement very well. Sometimes you would find that the requirement has a solution. The solution is available in the market, but similar solution is being provided by some of the industry representatives. You may not find the Indian Army taking on those. So be innovative and let's find good solutions to Indian Army problems. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. We move on to the next presentation. I'd like to invite Mr. Amit Mahajan, founder of Phoenix Group of Industries. He's also the principal sponsor for Pune DefTech. He'll be speaking about technologies in defense. Over to you, Amit. Request all speakers to keep the time limit to 15 to 20 minutes. Thanks.
Thank you, Prashant. Mr. Fatke, Chairman of MCCIA Defense Committee, Air Commodore Mittal, Brigadier Saukari, and Colonel Mohanty, my friends, fellow entrepreneurs, and the dignitaries on the dais as well. I'll talk a little bit about emerging technologies on defense. And before we get into that, I'll kind of preface this by introducing who we are and what we do. I'm a founder of a group of companies called the Phoenix Group. We are based here in Pune, but we have offices all around the world. So we have offices in US, in Canada, and also in United Kingdom. Phoenix Group is composed of 4 companies. Phoenix Innovations, so we work in supply chain and data analytics. So we are a very strong software development company. We have our own products in software. Excalibur Infotech, which is based here in Pune. It is a very large software development organization. Big data is one of the big areas that we work in. We also work in technologies that allow you to do machine learning, deep learning. So we have teams of people that do time series analysis, as well as deep learning in vision systems as well. Griffin Robotic is another one of our companies. It is based here in Pimpri-Chinchwad. It's about 1 kilometer away from here. We started this in 2018 by hiring the first engineer of the street. And now we are a group of about 150 engineers. We build our own products. We've got 2 patents, US patents, and we have got 4 more pending at this point in time. So we are a very focused research and development driven organization. We invest heavily in R&D. And we are possessive about intellectual property because we believe that that's what differentiates us in the marketplace. Bitmapper is the company that is sponsoring this event. It's one of our group companies. And Bitmapper is again based here in Pimpri-Chinchwad next to Griffin. Bitmapper focuses on defense electronics. So we'll talk a little bit about that. This gives you a size of the group. We are about 650 odd people across the group. Bitmapper is small. Bitmapper is about 60 odd people. Excalibur has about 400 software professionals. So that's where most of our people are. So let's get to the core topic. What are the top 6? I mean, if you look at the top emerging technologies in defense, there are many. And it's very hard to select which ones to talk about in 20 minutes. So I've selected 6 of these, or 5 of these at this point in time, and we'll talk a little bit about each one of these. So artificial intelligence, of course, everybody knows it, everybody talks about it. I don't know if everybody understands it clearly as well. That's the challenge, okay? And I'll elaborate a little bit more on that a little bit later. Lethal autonomous weapons, they call it LAWS, Lethal Autonomous Weapon Systems. My apologies for the typo on this one. So directed energy weapons, that's another one of those. I think someone mentioned it in the previous talks as one of the key areas that they are looking for. If I'm not mistaken, Brigadier Saukari mentioned about it as well, in directed energy, or if it was Air Commodore Mittal. And sensor fusion and AR, so we'll talk about that as well, and then drone warfare. So we have seen what's happened in the Ukraine conflict. We have seen the effective use of off-the-shelf drones to drop 40mm grenades on top of tanks and destroying. So it's something that you can buy for $5,000 is destroying a $50 million tank. This is an immense asymmetrical type of warfare that is being created at this point in time. And I think we need to take heed of that and learn from that. So we'll talk just a little bit about that. So artificial intelligence. See, there are 3 types of AI if you look around and if you go deep into it. There is narrow AI, there's general AI, and then there's AI superintelligence. So let me kind of talk a little bit about what's the difference between the 3. Narrow AI is a specific type of a deep learning algorithm that is focused on a very narrow use case. So for example, license plate recognition or recognition of enemy vehicles, or recognition of people carrying a gun, which are violent state, non-state actors. We call them VNSAs, right? Or drone detection. So these are narrow AI examples. There are many that are out there, but they are very narrow, and you have to keep learning from the data that you are collecting in an off-site way, and then redeploy the AI to keep working with that. General AI typically has a narrow AI implementation, but it is self-learning, and it continues to learn, and it continues to evolve. I don't think there are a whole lot of general AI implementations that are out there. There are very few. Alice is one of the ones that I can think about that's out there, but it is significant in terms of the compute that it requires to work. The last one is AI superintelligence. A lot of people talk about it. It's out there on the drawing boards. I think there is a bunch of work that is being done. There is a loyal wingman project that is working across multiple countries, air forces, and that is AI superintelligence. So when that evolves out, that will be the AI superintelligence that will be out there. So the most use cases that we see at the moment are recognition, classification type of use cases, and you will have drone detection, fast attack detection, vessel detection. So deployed on drone platforms, deployed on vessels such as tanks or navy vessels. And then the last one, last but not the least, it's very mundane implementation. But for example, we have a very large network of border roads, and where infiltration occurs, and as these infiltrators, they move around within our country, there's a need to actively track certain vehicles, identify and actively track vehicles, okay? And we don't have that at this point in time in a very organized manner. So there is a license plate tracking, surveillance, vehicle detection in a networked manner, where you can go in at a central place and just search on a license plate, and it will tell you the exact route that license plate took throughout the entire border area. So these are some of the things that are there. Now, if we look around the world, who is investing in AI? So US and China are number 1 and number 2 in AI investments. They're investing to a tune of between $10 and $15 billion every year in AI. That's the amount of energy and money that is being spent in building out AI models and AI compute systems, AI algorithms. India is number 8. I think we have started, we are good, we are strong, but we still have a long way to go. The beauty of this, though, a lot of AI is built using software technology, but there is a part which is missing, which I feel that that I would like to talk and give a recommendation to the folks from the armed forces over here, that to train the AI, you need large amounts of sensitive data that cannot be handed off out into the industry. Like for example, if you are trying to classify a submarine, the submarine signatures won't be handed out because these are state secrets, right? Or if you are trying to classify certain weapon systems, those won't be handed out. So there needs to be some kind of a walled garden approach for data, where the industry can come in, bring in their own resources, bringing their own deep learning servers, and then train that AI within that walled garden. So that secure garden needs to get created, secure areas need to get created, where we can bring in our resources and we can work closely with the Army, Navy, Air Force, with the forces, to build out these AI models. I'll give you an example. So this is the gun recognition AI. So detect the firearms in surveillance and in footage. So of course, people are not walking around in India with guns. So, but when they are, we should be able to detect them quickly, and we should be able to alert. And this is warning in milliseconds. This is not warning after the fact. This is not post-mortem analysis of something. This is while it is happening, there is alerts going out. I have a friend who made a comment once which was very telling. He said, imagine when he got into the Skoda and he was driving around Mumbai. If we knew exactly where he was headed, we would have been far more effective in stopping him earlier. So then, this is the next one, which is lethal autonomous weapon systems laws. So these are autonomous systems. This is the fastest growing segment in weapons platforms in many countries. And lots of countries are pouring billions of dollars into development of these systems, right? But again, laws cannot function without well-trained AI, because these are autonomous systems, right? There are two types of autonomous systems though. I think there are human in the loop and human out of the loop type of systems. The human out of the loop are fully autonomous, and there's only one country in the world right now that has the doctrine of human out of the loop, and that is China. And they have full-blown human out of the loop autonomous systems, which when those systems engage, there is no fail-safe. They will destroy whatever is in its path. So we have to figure out how we can build our own set of autonomous systems. My belief is human in the loop is necessary. You know, the target acquisition can be done autonomously, but the go-ahead for firing the weapon should always be in the human hands. Because I don't think we are there yet in an evolution, in a cognitive evolution perspective, where that decision can be made by AI by itself. So the other thing that we will note over here is that there is a requirement of a lot of sensors. See, we have our eyes, we have our ears, we have our skin which gives us touch, we have capability of understanding temperature, we have understanding the environment around us. But the autonomous systems need all of these sensors to make better decisions. So sensor fusion and sensor creation to observe the battlefield, to make the right decisions, is of extreme importance. And I think there needs to be a large amount of effort put in by the industry to develop these sensors within our country. Right now, most of these sensors are imported. Okay, and while I say this, making sensors or fabbing sensors is a huge amount of work effort. I really hope I live to see the day where large fabs are in India as well, and we are building sensors in India as well. The next one, interestingly, Commodore Mittal, we are thinking around the same lines. Directed energy weapons is one of the big ones as well. So software-defined EMP technology, which is being built by a startup in US. It's actually a startup that just raised $200 million. They got a valuation of about $1 billion. It's a 4-year-old startup, okay, it's got unicorn status very, very quickly. They are building the software-defined EMP, focused EMP technology. So it's almost like a radar, which is sending out electromagnetic waves, but in a very focused form, in a very directed form, that can disrupt the drones, and that can disrupt the drone motors and the electronics inside the drone. The other one is laser-directed energy weapons, which Israel is already developed and deployed some. DRDO has also developed a lot of directed energy weapons. I hope we can see some of those out there as well. So that's one of the key areas. Sensor fusion and augmented reality. I think this is where we give the warfighter situational awareness and a fighting chance to win in the battlefield. If you are not aware of what's going on around you, how do you make an effective choice of what to do next, right? So there are a lot of ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance platforms that India has. And there are more that are being added at a breathtaking pace. So unmanned ground sensors that are deployed on drones that can do overflight and overwatch. And then taking all of this data, fusing it in a sensor fusion capability, and then sending it down to the warfighter. This is going to be one of the key areas. I think the data is available in a disconnected fashion in different sensor boxes, but it is not fused and it is not presented in in a easily consumable way right now to the warfighter. So augmented reality, we believe, is one of the key areas that needs to be looked at, where you can have, you can have a see-through glass where you can have superimposed data that the warfighter can look at. So target acquisition, direction, where are your comrades, where is the enemy positions, where are the bad guys, these things, they matter. Drone warfare. So we talked a little bit about that at the start. Drone warfare is an interesting area. The leftmost one is the one which we talked about, where a 40 millimeter grenade is being dropped down on a cheap $2,000, $5,000 drone, right? But this has a devastating effect. I mean, it can take out an entire armored vehicle if it's thrown properly, if it's dropped properly. The second one that's in there is a loitering munitions type of a drone, which is canister launched. It is easily carryable by a soldier on a backpack, and it's launched. It can loiter for a certain amount of time. Now, it doesn't necessarily need to be munitions. The payload can be electro-optical payload, so it can be used for recon as well. It can be something which is a one-way kamikaze drone, or it can be something which comes back and which can be reused again and again. So there are various methods and things that can be used with that, but I think there is a huge amount of opportunity in this space with regards to the drones. And the third one is a swarming effect of drones. So drone swarms we talked about, I think somebody mentioned it as well with regards to drone swarms. There are significant opportunities with drone swarms, and I think overwhelming the adversary with the number of drones is probably the only way where we can fight the same way that the enemy is fighting with us. So now I'll bring all this back in what is Bitmapper doing in some of these areas. So Bitmapper has developed its own smart cameras from ground up. So we don't import subcomponents, sub-assemblies, and assemble them to create smart cameras. We took the Sony sensors, IMX334, 250, or 556, or 219. We build sensor boards from that. We build the processing boards from that. We build the communication boards, power delivery boards, and we created our own smart cameras, where you can do AI inferencing at the edge. So all of the AI that we talked about can be deployed on these smart cameras. And we use NVIDIA chipsets for doing the AI compute. We can do facial recognitions, we can do footfall recognitions, we can do license plate number recognition, we can do vehicle recognitions. We can also integrate, so we are also developing a millimeter wave radar for automotive and security purposes. So MM-Wave is one of the technologies that I'm excited about. There is another technology called terahertz, which has much shorter space where it can be used, but it has great capabilities. And these are a couple of interesting technologies that we are excited and we are working hard on. These cameras are designed and manufactured 1 kilometer away from here, like I said, at our factory in Bitmapper. This is an electro-optical ground sensor. It's a gimbal, so it doesn't really need to be a ground sensor. It can be hung upside down on an aircraft or a drone. It can also be put on a vehicle. The interesting part about this is it also has a gunshot detection capability. So if there is I think, and I haven't served, so I don't completely understand this, but when the first shot is fired, everybody ducks to figure out where the shot is coming from, okay? First you save yourself, then you figure out where the shot is coming from, right? And then you look for a muzzle flash or whatever. But what if there was a gunshot detection capability where with the first shot, you know which direction the shot is coming from and what is the distance the shot is coming out from, right? So this sensor that we have has that capability. It also has a capability where we can look up to 5 kilometer in detection range. It has 3 kilometer of identification range, okay, and 2 kilometer of identification of a human. So the 3 kilometer is the heavy motor vehicle identification range. We can also deploy some of the AI that we talked about earlier with regards to firearm detection, facial recognition, so you can identify bad guys and alert people very quickly. We also have a edge AI gateway platform which can be used to retrofit existing vehicles. So imagine, you are a tank commander, you have your thermal sight, you're in your T90 tank, and you are looking out. You don't need to retrofit the sights that are already in there. We take the Camlink output and feed it into our box. And we can, with our AI, detect the vehicles that are in front of us, whether they are the bad guys or whether they are the good guys. So this is profile detection. This is identification of friend or foe in a different way. So these are some of the things that can be done with this box. This is a very versatile box, so it can be integrated, and sky's the limit with regards to what it can be done with this. These are some of our offices that we have here in Pune. This is our R&D center. It's about 15,000 square feet of space. We believe this, that blood wins battles, sweat wins currency, but grit wins future. So we really believe this, and we practice this every single day. This is our manufacturing unit here in Pune. We have the state-of-art machines, CNC machines with very high tolerances. And then this is a global support center. The interesting thing about this, and the one we are proud of, is there is a DGX A100, as you can see over there, the golden box in the bottom. It's one of 2 or 3 that are in Pune. This is one of the very high-end deep learning servers where we train most of our AI. Like I said, we have a couple of patents in AI, and all of that AI was trained on these servers. So that's about it. I'll take some questions if you have any, but I think I would like to give the time back. Thank you.
Thanks, Amit. I'd like to request Mr. Satyajit Patil from L&T. So they are going to talk about the outsourcing requirements of L&T. And while they set up the laptop, a small announcement for owners of 2 vehicles, actually, MH14DX 2575 and MH12EM 6219. So if the owner is present here, you are requested to kindly move the vehicles. There's some obstruction in the entrance passage.
Yeah, good afternoon all. I'm Satyajit Patil, representing L&T Defense Supply Chain. I have my colleagues Srikant Solanke and Alkesh Nimje, and we'll be taking you through opportunities in supply chain in L&T Defense. So before starting the presentation, I will just make one quick announcement and one request. We are under Indian licensed defense companies, and that's why we have some obligations in sharing the information. That's why any videos or any information shared here, I request you to not to take any photographs with you. We will share the contact details later on. You can contact one-to-one, and as and when required, we can share the information with you. Okay, thank you. So I will just quickly share this video just to give glimpse of what L&T Defense is and what solutions we are offering.
What do you get when machines take the place of your men on the battlefield? When a program decides which enemy target to take down first, before the human mind even senses a threat. When wars are won not only by wits and valor, but by the power of transformational defense solutions. You get a decisive edge. For over 30 years, one company has been providing the Indian Armed Forces with state-of-the-art defense solutions, giving them the strength for peace. As the rules of engagement change, so do solutions. L&T Defense is all set to take our armed forces to the next level. Digitalization. Our digitalized defense solutions orchestrate both production efficiency and enhanced firepower while reducing potential casualties. Our fleets are ever ready thanks to predictive maintenance and repair. Virtual reality prepares soldiers for real combat situations quicker. While connected, men and machines tilt the odds towards mission successes in any theater of war. Globalization. We're taking Make in India to the next level. Whether it is defense solutions for land, sea, or air. Our indigenous platforms, weapon systems, sensors and more carry the hallmark of global excellence through technology partnerships with global majors. A supply chain that spans across countries and defense solutions provided to friendly nations across 2 continents. Customization. Every mission has a different need, and so do armed forces across the nations. We provide a range of platforms, weapon systems, and upgrade solutions that are customizable to meet any requirement in any country, from challenging terrain to harsh climatic conditions, from making obsolete systems contemporary to creating solutions to meet unique challenges. Our custom-built solutions provide a decisive edge in many different ways. Unmanned vehicles. The future of combat lies in operations controlled at an arm's length. L&T Defense is developing a range of unmanned vehicles, from robots that can defuse mines or survey combat situations, to aerial and underwater vehicles that can perform missions independently with stealth and accuracy, increasing mission success rates without jeopardizing the lives of our soldiers. From surveillance to strike, L&T's new age defense solutions spans the complete gamut of operations across land, sea, and air. As technology paves the way towards a bold new future in defense solutions, we are on the front lines of this battle, transforming defense to deliver the decisive edge.
Yeah. So, respected guests on dais, ladies and gentlemen, just to introduce, L&T Defense is a part of Larsen & Toubro Limited, which is all we are aware, multi-billion-dollar Indian multinational, which is engaged in technology, engineering, construction, manufacturing, and financial services. So basically, we provide indigenous design to delivery solutions from surveillance to strike and across all 3 domains in land, air, and Navy. So we partner with DRDO, ISRO, and Indian Armed Forces directly in the development of defense products systems and platform across land, sea, and air operations, and keeping in line with our commitment to Atmanirbhar Bharat. These are our work centers. We have 2 R&D centers at our Powai and Bengaluru, and we have our production facilities at Hazira, Talegaon, Vizag, Katupalli, Coimbatore. So basically, we are representing Talegaon facility, which is basically part of weapon and engineering system. We have also our other business units as guns, missiles and armor systems, and submarine and underwater platforms. So these are some product portfolio, as we have already seen the many of them in the video, so I will not repeat, but the point here is we are across all the solutions from land weapon, land engineering, naval weapon and engineering systems. The facility what I am representing, all these systems or systems of systems are being built here, right here, near 30 kilometers away at Talegaon facility. These are our one program, K9 Vajra, as we have delivered it before the time, and currently this solution is being looked at alternative higher elevation requirements of our army. Yeah, so this is what this pictorial here signifies the DNA of our supply chain, that is L&T Defense, and what we are looking for as a business partners. Now, we do not term our suppliers or vendors as suppliers, but we do term them as business partners, because they're what we belong, their partnership. We can provide our end customers, end users, the solutions what they are looking for. And these are a few of the requirements, like raw material. Raw material ranges from plates, forgings, extrusions, in the variety of carbon steels, stainless steel, high strength steels, aluminum, duplex, super duplex. So these are some of the raw materials. We have requirements in fabrication and machining structures, which range from some kilograms up to 5 to 10 tons. We have requirements in hydraulics, bought-outs, many specialized requirements like vehicles, the cranes and trailers, and of course, one of the major part is electronics. So electronics part we will come to, and my colleague will take you through electronic parts. But before that, when we are sharing one example, that is the production order of bridge laying tank project, which we have completed before time, and this was delivered to the our Indian forces before time in the year of 2017-18. The example why I am sharing here is even before the term Atmanirbhar was coined, this system was delivered in the year 2017. We started working on this in the 2000 production phases as a 2014. So even before the term Atmanirbhar was coined, we are committed to Make in India initiative. And what we could see that within 100 kilometers of Talegaon, we have built this supply chain for the various requirements in terms of forgings, surface treatment facilities, bought-out components, fabrication requirements, machining requirements, steel cutting and forming. So what we could see, we are already in this development of an ecosystem which supports all the MSMEs as well as non-MSMEs companies which are offering multiple solutions. So going forward, these are some of the more requirements where some of our partners already providing us systems which are built to specifications. these are compliant to EMI, EMC requirements, something like EM mast, trailers, shelters, DJs. So these are some areas. If you are qualified, if you think you can, you are qualified, you can definitely contact us. And there are platforms like L&T Defense has been in the development of defense products from last 3 or 4 decades. We started with many initiatives like NCNC projects in across various portfolios. And today what we can see is the many of the production orders are realized for which NCNC projects were delivered some 1 decade, 2 decades back. So this is how we started, and we feel if you are competitive enough, you are qualified enough, definitely we can start with our association. Okay. So for next part, I will request my colleague Alkesh Nimje to join for electronics. Alkesh.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Alkesh Nimje. I will take you through the electrical and electronics requirement of L&T Defense team. So, considering the vast variety of electrical and electronics requirement for L&T Defense, I have categorized this requirement in 5 categories. The first category we have defined as a cards and components. The components may be active and passive. The second category is wires, cables, and harnesses and related connectors. The third category, enclosures and modules. The fourth category is electrical and electronics panels, which are customized unit with assembly of components and testing. The fifth category is that standard bought out item, what we buy from the OEM. This is make part number products. So moving to the next slide, I will be covering the cards and components. The cards, there are 2 types of cards which we order for our system. The first type of card, that is standard card, that is input-output card, analog and digital. The second type of card is customized card specific to the project, that is designed and made for and also get it qualified as per the application requirement. So few of the standards I have listed in my slide, that is for your information, that visual and assembly checking, that is we are doing as per the IPC 610 and also GSG 0283. So being a naval application, any card what we are making, it should be qualifying for the defense purpose. So that is a ESS qualification is also a must requirement for the system. So we are making these boards. Also being a customized application, these cards are required to be thoroughly checked and qualified. So we are making test jigs also for checking these cards functionality to avoid the repetition of activity on checking on the system. And opportunity side, there are multiple projects we are getting from defense organization. In that, there are make to order requirements. So we are looking at business partners like you who can support us, who can design this such kind of cards and also make these cards and get it qualified. Currently, we have seen the challenges of components. The lead time changed in the current scenario, but gradually it is improving. And the second is the being a make to order requirement. There are low volume and high mix. However, we are able to manage the requirements till date. Moving to the next requirement, the wires, cables and harnesses. I will be explaining, these are the basic requirement of the system. This is a must requirement. In harnesses side, there are 2 types of harnesses we have developed from our business partners. Over a period of time, we are able to manufacture these harnesses and also put in the system without any rejection, and we are getting the quality what we require. So harnesses are external harnesses and internal harnesses. There are also quality requirements, that is IPC WAMA 620. We are also looking for the suppliers, business partners who can make such kind of harnesses and get it qualified. In next slide, that I have covered the enclosures as well as the control panels. In enclosures that we make with the MS, SS, aluminum, And being a naval application, being the enclosures are mounted on the vehicle and going in the rough atmosphere, so there are qualification requirement, that is JSS Penta 5 and MIL standard 461E. So we are able to make these panels. We are successfully making it with help of our business partners, and there are opportunities available who can support us, that we can definitely work out and we can find a way out to convert in the order. And for these panels also, there is a test jigs which we make, that is a solution simulation of a system. With that we can functionally qualify and test the panels. So next part, I have covered the bought out items. I have listed few of the items. However, there are multiple items are there which we order for our units. And we are certainly look for the MSME and business partners, new business partners who can come with a different technology. There are few cases I will tell you. Some relays are there, some boards are there, single board computers are there. We try to find out a solution in indigenous. However, there are no expert solution available in India. We are forced to go outside. So we are looking for the business partners who can develop such kind of relays and cards and provide us a solution, complete solution, and we can happily work with you to give a better solution to a defense organization. So next slide is supplier onboarding. Satyajit will take you through this. Thank you.
Thank you, Alkesh. Due to paucity of time, I will just quickly move on this. So already there are number of business partners registered with us, but still if you feel you are qualified enough, what we are looking at is what is the evaluation criteria. So basically what we evaluate, how the management and administration is, how manufacturing processes and quality management systems support defense business. Of course, financial strength being development projects, it takes some cycle in getting your cash back. Capacity and resources, of course, environment, health and safety. So what we are looking as, we prefer end-to-end manufacturing capabilities, preferably in-house, wherein you will have direct control on your resources. All-round technical expertise, wherein design, skilled, qualified operators and supervisory staff. Response to RFPs in targeted timelines and competitive pricing. Deliberations on technical aspects. Implemented quality systems and of course proactive steps to meet the on-time deliveries. This is the part wherein we are now into digitalization of the platform which is being provided to our business partners. Now due to paucity of time, I will not go into detail, but the thing is everybody is now moving to digitalization to improve the efficiencies, and so do defense business. What earlier presentations have already shown, where is the technology is headed and where we are required to be. So few of the initiatives like onboarding or RFQ platforms, our quality management systems are now converted into SQMS, that is smart quality management systems, wherein lot of documentations, lot of quality control plans are will be online now. Okay, so I will not take much of the time now, and this is what, in conclusion, for MSME, what we are providing platform to collaborate for defense businesses. We are providing to access to L&T's multifaceted partner network. We are providing you with extended product portfolio. We are providing on-job learning opportunities, and of course, best-in-class manufacturing processes and systems. And I will end my presentation with quote from Mr. Narendra Modi, that nation with strong defense industry will not only be more secure, it will also reach economic benefits. It can boost investment, expand manufacturing, support enterprise, raise the technology level, and increase the economic growth in the country. So that's why I thank MCCIA for providing this opportunity in collaborating with our, I will say, partners which can take this defense industry forward. Yeah. Thank you. And these are our contact details shared. You can definitely contact us one-to-one, and we can take forward after proper evaluation, and with your capabilities being evaluated, we can go forward. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Satyajit and Shrikant. I would like to request Mr. Harsh Gune to present a memento to both the speakers. Mr. Shrikant. Oh, sorry. Mr. Alkesh Nimje. Mr. Atul Kamble is here. Omkar, okay. So we move on to the next vendor development presentation from Bharat Forge. Mr. Omkar will be telling us about what Bharat Forge outsources from the industry. So Omkar, request you to focus more on the requirements, because everybody already knows about Bharat Forge.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Onkar Mirda. I am responsible for the defense procurement in Kalyani Group. So just we are short of time, so I will complete in just 5 minutes. As the name itself, everyone knows what Bharat Forge into. We are the largest forging industries, but apart from forging, we are into the aerospace, we are into the defense, we are into the automotive, oil and gas, marine, railways, wind energy, mining, construction and thermal power. So why we are into the defense, the slide itself, it shows we have a strong metallurgical technical expertise inside Bharat Forge. We are our own metallurgical engineers working for, especially for the defense. We have innovation driven solution. We have our own R&D center located itself in Pune. And the third one is the manufacturing capabilities, which we require into the manufacturing of all the fabricated and machining components. So this is why we have entered into the defense, being a world's largest forging industry. So you can see on the screen what we are into in the artillery. We are the photo itself shows we are into the gun segment of artillery, manufacturing of all the artillery guns with various ranges. The second is the armored vehicles, which right now we have completed the successful trials and delivered it to the Indian Army. The third one is the defense electronics, wherein we have developed few components. Aerospace, not that much, but we are entered into the aerospace segment just a couple of years before. Missiles and air defense, we have developed some small range missiles wherein we can support to the ordnance factories. And the last is the protected vehicles, where we are now stepping our foot into manufacturing of all the armored vehicles with all the STANIC level capabilities. We are also into the small arms, which the corner photo represents. So being into the defense for the first time, what are we facing the difficulties? So in a single slide, I have just highlighted what exactly we need from our supplies. The very first thing is the special raw material, as likely told by Mr. Satyajit from L&T. We are facing a lot of difficulties in locating special raw materials in the form of sheet, plates, tubes. So we are really looking for the suppliers who are into the raw material manufacturing present over here. You can definitely contact us. The secondly is into the fabrication and the critical machining. Many suppliers have a knowledge, but we need a complete integrated assembly wherein they fall short into it. So we are looking for a partner or a supplier who can support in delivering directly the assemblies which we required. The third is the automotive components which we import, and we are like trying to indigenize in itself in the India and most probably close to Pune. And the fourth one is the electrical systems and the subsystems, which most of the parts are imported. We are trying for this indigenization. The special raw material I already told, like very high tensile plates or any equivalent to the Russian standards, which any supplier have a strong metallurgical aspect can definitely contact us for the equivalent alternatives. The ferrous and especially the non-ferrous castings, which we are finding difficult to locate. Any supplier who have a strong know-how in the non-ferrous background can definitely please share their portfolio to us. The aluminum rods and the extrusion, which are like we require a very small quantity, but we are facing it difficult to locate it. I have presented some photos. Request to please don't take off the photograph of the same. These are the assemblies which we are like buying right now. We need a supplier who can provide us directly the assembly made to fit to our structure. So any supplier who has a strong fabrication setup, have a strong qualified WBS welders, have a technical sound knowledge of assembling the components can definitely reach out to us. Some castings which we are already buying. Any supplier who has a strong background about the casting, especially the non-ferrous, can definitely reach to us. These are few of the photos which I have highlighted. These are like the automotive components, but this needs to be performed at a very stringent atmospheric temperature, like minus and plus degrees Celsius. These are been specializedly developed and designed for this artillery gun and the vehicle system. Thank you.
Thank you, Omkar. Just wait a bit. Request Mr. Gune again to do the honors. Now request Mr. Amol from Kirloskar Pneumatics to cover the requirements of KPCL, and Mr. Kailash Kabra will be also speaking. So I guess Mr. Amol will be speaking first. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, I know it's a bit late today, but everyone is being serious, I suppose. Please don't be. We should be sincere. So, presenting to you Kirloskar. Everyone knows about what Kirloskar is, who Kirloskars are, and we are part of a nation-building team, and that is what we feel proud of. So, a short introduction, the visionaries of Kirloskars, Mr. Shantanu Rao Kirloskar. I think so some problems are there. Mr. Lakshman Rao Kirloskar, who started with the Kirloskar business, took across the boundaries was Mr. Shantanu Rao, and still going on Mr. Chandrakant Kirloskar and Rahul Kirloskars. So, vast areas, we support vast areas, and we are Kirloskars, yes. Okay, sorry, some technical problems. We have history of innovations right from the iron plow from where we started to the compressors, what we are right now. A limitless version of Kirloskar just recently launched with new logo, new branding. So majorly, we are right now nurturing partnerships to power the infinite potential. And as Kirloskars, we are actually having 5 companies under one roof. We are having air compressor and refrigeration. We are having air and gas compressors, transmission divisions, where we take care of gear and gearboxes, road railers. It's a new system, a new SBU which has come up, which is a locomotive system which will work on the road as well as on the railways, railway rail. Then we have CNG and API packages as PGS division. And what we are talking about will be ACD and TRM, who are actually associated with the defense systems. In ACD, we help the defense with the ground support units for launching the missiles and the aircraft cooling systems. And in transmission, we help with the special launch vehicle systems. So this is our vision, mission, and our values. Strongly believe in excellence, integrity, collaboration, empathy, value creation, and innovative thinking. Our QEHS policies, we are one of the IMS certified companies. And these are the divisions of air compressor, which recently deals with actually the compressors and the GSU ground support unit systems. The transmissions, which deals about gears and gearboxes. Air conditioning and refrigeration packages, which serves the air compressor as well as the refrigerations for all the units, including the submarines. And the process gas systems for the CNG packages. We are located in 3 locations: Hadapsar, Pune, Saswad, and Eklahar in Nasik. We have the state-of-the-art manufacturing facilities and in-house technologies and infrastructure. We have our own research and development, project engineering centers, in-house foundry, fabrication facility, and also heat treatment, and our labs are Enable accredited. So these are the certifications. Product ranges, mostly for the air compressor divisions. We have not included the ground support unit photographs here right now, just for the reason it's been dealing with defense systems. But definitely you can contact us, and once we are through the vendor registration process, we can give you the details. Product range right from 100 CFM to almost 10,000 CFM compressor range. We have electrical screw compressor packages right from 7 kilowatt to 160 kilowatt. Some air compressor packages. These are similar in the GSU systems as well, wherein we call it as ground support units, majorly dealing with the compressors and the aircraft cooling systems. So these are common with the ground support unit systems. So that's why giving this information. The reciprocating compressor, majorly, we have developed one balance opposed vibrationless compressors, wherein even if it is a reciprocating compressor, 0 vibrations, that is what we confirm to. Dealing again this reciprocating as well as the centrifugal compressors with the canopy and air cooled packages or water cooled, whatever is feasible. The centrifugal packages for higher airflow applications wherever necessary, again dealing with the canopies, in the canopies as well as without canopies. And these are the market segments what has been involved. So after this, I will ask Mr. Kailash Kabra to take upon the actual requirements of the industries for defense purpose as well as for the regular purposes.
Thank you, Amol, for giving good insight about Kirloskar Pneumatic Company Limited and about Kirloskar Group. So hereby now I will present what are the expectations, requirement from the vendors I am looking for from this MCCI exhibition. So I will share few photographs of the commodities so that you can get fair idea that what commodities I am looking for. This is base frame. This base frame is of ISMC channel, wherein C channel is of around 50 mm size to 200 mm size. The frame weight is around 1 ton to 5 ton. So whosoever is making this kind of frame, and those can support us with value optimization, we are looking for this kind of vendors. So normally we share the drawing with vendor, but vendor can come up with their suggestions so that we can discuss and we can finalize on this thing. Then we are looking for shell and tube type of vendors as well. These are leak-proof coolers. Basically in compressor there are hot temperature while compressing the air, so it needs to be cooled off. So with the help of this kind of tube and shell type cooler, we normally do it. This cooler has basically tube bundle. This tube bundle is of SS tube. So whosoever is in this, we can look for this one. Normally we share the drawing with vendor for tube and shell cooler, but those vendors have hit HTRI software and they can come up with the good ideas. So now we don't look supplier as a supplier. We treat them as a vendor partner. We take their ideas to incorporate in our design to create the win-win situation for us, for them, and for our customer as well. Base frame and canopy. This is a laser cut base frame and canopy, wherein we give the drawings to the vendors, and this canopy is of 1.2 mm thickness to 2 mm thickness, and the frame is of around 2.5 mm thickness to 3 mm thickness. Normally we require the canopy which start from 100 kg to 1000 kg, so around 1 ton. And basically when we see the vendor, we normally prefer to have this kind of vendor who does have all the laser cutting facility, bending facility, fabrication, as well as powder coating. So that it can, basically canopy we treat as an aesthetic product, so it should be handled with less transportation. So we normally prefer to preferred vendors who have all the facilities in-house. Undercarriage, trolley. Kirloskar Pneumatic basically is available in portable compressors as well. So for portable compressor, we expect vendor to design this kind of trolley for us. Normally we require 2 ton to 4 ton trolleys for our application. Basically I have attached the photograph of only one axle. Normally we require 2 axles also in for our defense requirement. Air oil separator. These are fabricated air oil separator tank. This is a high pressure AOS tank. So the pressure requirement is up to 7.5 bar to 13 bar. It should sustain to this requirement. This is not only the fabrication component. There are few components which are machined also. So we prefer to have vendor who has machining facilities as well as fabrication facility at their end. This is an impeller. Basically we don't look for this kind of impeller from vendor. We required forgings from the vendor for this thing. This is a SS forging component, 17.4 pH material with the hardness of 375 BHN. This kind of thing we expect. Again, this is forging required for gears. For compressor, we require gears, and this is of 18 mm CR material to 20 mm CR material. Diameter starts from 100 mm to 500 mm. This is equivalent to EN8 grade also. This is a highly precise component, so we are expecting the vendors who does high precision work. Basically, this component has 2 sides. This is a Libran seal, wherein from one side there is air and from second side there is oil, but it cannot mix with each other. So this is a highly precise component. For this also we are looking for vendor. Hoses, this is a NBR hoses, rubber hose. Basically we require 2 types of hoses. One is rubber hoses as well, and second is high temperature resistance as well. But we don't, we expect that the vendor should do it this with end fittings, and this is duly pressure tested. Supplier evaluation and assessment process. Basically, just now I spoke about that what component commodities we are our expectations, and the way we introduce vendor in Kirloskar Pneumatic is we expect that vendor should have ISO certification at first. So basically, if they have ISO certification, then they are at least qualified to have our visit at their place. Then on the basis of their manufacturing method or their proprietary item, we have a different selection criteria. On the basis of commodity, we define that which category the vendor falls in. Accordingly, we give them our form, and the same way we conduct the audit process. Vendor criteria is they must get above 90% marks in the audit score. But if they get more than 70% marks also, then also they are qualified to have our vendor code. But then they again have to submit their CAPA for the points wherever they get low marks. Expectation from vendor, they should follow safety and environment related policies and should be deployed at workplace. They should follow system and standard, require infrastructure for the processes, or should demonstrate its readiness to invest in the requirement as and when required. So it is not mandatory that there are all the facilities available at your end. But we expect that at least they should have this attitude to introduce this kind of facility wherever there is requirement. Should demonstrate required job and process knowledge and ability to learn and develop. You can get this contact detail for further contact. If it's not visible, I can read it out. Rahul Patil, Senior Manager, SED, SCM. Mobile number is 9881 379870. Mail ID rahul.patil4@kirloskar.com. Kailash Kabra, Senior Manager, SED, SCM. Phone number 77092633354. Kailash.kabra@kirloskar.com. So we believe coming together is beginning, keeping together is progress, working together is success. So be part of the success. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kailash and Mr. Amol. I request Mr. Gune to present a moment to Mr. Amol. We missed him during the earlier session. Thank you. And now I request Mr. Gune, member of the MCCIA Defense Core Group, to give a formal vote of thanks.
Thank you, Prashant. Mr. Mahesh Phadke, who just left, Air Commander Rajiv Mittal, Colonel Sanjeev Mohanty, Brigadier Sahukari. Ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon to you. And it has come at the very right time I think defense acquisition or defense acquisition as a procedure or philosophy has evolved over the years, and since 2015 there has been a sea of change in the various acquisition systems and procedures. We started with mere awareness and contribution, and we are not talking about exports, we are talking about technology, we are talking about startups, and also having innovations and technology initiative. I think that has been a magnificent thing to happen to defense industry, and it's hard, it's amazing to see armed forces interacting, visiting stalls and exhibitions, and interacting directly with industry. It's an amazing change. Well, sir, MCCIA happens to be the first association to have started defense committee to promote private participation into defense. And we have had a number of path-breaking initiatives over the last 3 to 4 years to facilitate the interactions between the industry and armed forces. And in fact, in that endeavor, we envisaged Pune DevTech, an initiative to promote industries of Pune on a global platform. As they say, the industries of Pune is run by technocrats. And there are success stories in every nook and corner in the vast industrial basis. And it is now MCCI's endeavor to take it on a level where it is recognized globally. I thank you all the speakers, dignitaries, our sponsors, Bitmapper or MateLab, all the participants who have showcased their products outside here with so much of enthusiasm, and I'm sure they must have had all the opportunity to interact with armed forces individuals. Staff of Auto Cluster, MCCI team members, Mr. Prashant and the team, and everyone who have come all the way to Pune to talk to individuals. So thank you so much. A request for a group photo. You know. Yes, please.
So what is the timeline that you all are talking of in delivering a project? This slide or this information was missing in the entire schema of things which you are talking of. Suppose we give, if you all want me to explain more better, then suppose say we are awarded a contract of what is your requirement all about. What will be the timeline, a number of weeks, a number of months, a number of years, or number of decades? What is the timeline that you all want us to deliver it?
Okay, I'll just take on this thing. There are different kinds of projects and different degree of the. I'll cover. You can have any specific question you can ask later.
Talk about anti-drones, very specifically. Anti-drones.
Well, any project. Please have a seat. Any project, whether it is an IDEX project, TDF project, or a MAKE project. These are 3 kinds of projects which we are working with the industry. Depending on the type of work, the timelines are decided. Generally, in general, I will mention that a project is not taken beyond 2 years. And 2 years is a fairly long time for the design and development to come to an end. The type of projects we are looking in these categories. Yes, R&D projects can go longer also, but the type of D&D projects we are doing, we do not go beyond 2. However, there are projects which have completed in 6 months also. So, what we do is, we divide the entire phase into different, we call milestones. And based on the completion of the milestones, the payments are also made. generally up to 3 to 5 milestones, the development life cycle is planned. So you can generally plan that about 2 years is on the higher side. However, there are at times delays because of various factors, and based on the need, extensions are also granted.
May I just add, sir? You see, I'll just put this perspective right, what sir has said. There are two kinds of equipment that are supplied. One is you've already developed a system. For that, you'll have a timeline depending upon the type of procurement. Now, for example, if it is an emergency procurement of a fast-track procurement, it is 1 year. 1 year is given to you. You develop your product, showcase it to the impart committee. Once they clear it, they will issue the RFP. And if you're relevant, you get the contract, you give it in 1 year's time. What he was talking about, what sir was talking about was for the IDEX projects, wherein the project definition statement is given if there's a problem, and you come out with a solution, and then you sit down with them and sort out the timelines. That is one part. The another part is the other capital projects. If you're talking about counter drone or drone systems, now I take it that there is a RFP which is out, and you are. Pardon me?
We have already done that, but you all are giving us 30 weeks of time.
For
the, am I audible?
Yeah.
So you all are giving us 30 weeks of time to deploy it in your premises. So that is not feasible. So if
No, you're talking about a fast track procurement case?
No, it's not a fast track procurement. It is design, testing, and implementation.
So it's a make two. So I'll tell you about make two. What happens in case of make two is it is taken that you have the requisite skill set and the capability to design and develop.
Mr. Mohanty, the issue is that 30 weeks is not a timeline which will be feasible enough.
But that you can negotiate when the make two project RFP is out. They do we do not in DGQA deal with it. It is the WE directorate which does that.
I'm aware of it. See, the timeline cannot be on one side. It has to be bi-directional. You understand? It cannot be forced from one side. We have to open up. See, when we are talking on we have the other side also has to open up, because we are entering into a plethora of problems. Everything showcased over here is beautiful, wonderful. Hello.
Yeah.
But the problem arises after that.
No, but you see, even in case of make two, you have something known as a project facilitation team, the PFT. All that is done.
I am accepting all that is done. The timeline has to be extended.
You'll have to take up with the W directorate only on a case-to-case basis. I said you'll have to take it up with the W directorate on a case-to-case basis.
The problem is that nobody is listening.
No, I don't think there are mechanisms, you can escalate the matter, you can go through the MOD if that be the case. I don't think there should be an issue in case of make two. You can speak to WE, there is the acquisition wing also which is there, DDP is there, so
we have done all that.
You've done all that.
So what I would
I'll
suggest
just cover once again the same aspect. Make two cases of Indian Army, as has been brought out, there is a project facilitation team and there is a nodal officer. So in case an extension has been requested only by a single vendor out of a few vendors.
Sir, we have signed the document.
I'm not talking specifically about your case. I'm talking because I may not remember your case. If an extension has been asked only by a single vendor and there are a number of participants, then you may find a situation that it has not been granted. However, if a few of the industry participants have asked for an extension, and if it is found genuine because of various reasons, extension is granted. Sometimes a 5 months extension is asked, but maybe 2 to 3 months extension is granted. But depending on the situation, case to case basis, these things are done.
Okay, my second
I think
question.
looking at the positive.
Second, last question. Yeah, only one last.
Offline.
It's in interest of everybody. It's not that
This is case to case basis, so you can discuss offline. Please.
Please, one last. Why aren't proprietary companies not accepted in the in the tenders or in startups or in, see, there are a lot of people who are intellectually very, very strong, and these are individual people. These people are not accepted in the government because they are having a proprietary OPC company. Why aren't the startups not recognizing those stalwarts or those intellectual people who want to showcase their strength, and that can be used by the defense forces? And I have seen hundreds of cases going down the drain, which can be helpful for the country from people like, I'll not like to name them because it will become a political issue, or it might become it will take off a different tangent. There are beautiful brains inside the country who are not allowed to participate because they are OPC companies, one person company, or they are proprietary concerns. Why is this disparity? This is my last question, and it's in the interest of everybody. Thank you very much.
Well, this is a matter of MOD policy. You'll have to approach the MOD. Firstly, I do not know whether as a policy, an individual, what I understand is you're mentioning about an individual. If an individual is participating in his individual capacity as an IDEX participant, if that is your question, if not, then you'll have to approach the MOD for a clarification. If a startup is participating as a company which comes in the category of startup, they are permitted. Now, what specifically you mean by a proprietary company not being permitted to participate, you'll have to approach the Ministry of Defense for a policy clarification on this.
No, I couldn't understand. You mean to say that it is a proprietary company, single owned, not a private limited company. Is that what you're saying? Now the issue is, as sir has brought out, nobody stops you from quoting. As long as you get cleared in terms of your capability, in terms of registration of the firms, one has to see, there are certain criteria which are there to clear the firm, whether it is revenue procurement or capital procurement. So if you meet those QRs, I don't think you should have an issue in terms of whether it is proprietary or I have not seen any place wherein they say that the proprietary companies are not allowed to quote. You can quote, provided you meet those criteria for manufacturing. You have a if you don't have a factory and you're quoting for a equipment which is to be provided, how will you get the order? You will not get the order. So you have to have, if you have the requisite infrastructure available with you, be it proprietary or private limited, I don't think there's an issue. Correct me if I'm wrong, sir. No, I don't think there should be a problem. In case you have the infrastructure in place, you have the capability in place, I don't think anybody is going to not give you a registration for that. Request you to approach the DDP should there be a problem. We don't know the merits of your case, but I think if there is a problem, you need to get to the MOD, to the Director, Defense Production, DDP as they call it, and put forward your case should there be a problem.
So the session is formally closed now. Thanks.